We all know the drill. Election day rolls around. We choose our favorite or least hated candidate on the ballot. Then the person with the most votes wins. Simple, right? Well, not quite. This first-past-the-post system, or FPTP as the cool kids call it, is riddled with flaws. Imagine a marathon where the runner who's ahead at the halfway mark is declared the winner, regardless of who crosses the finish line first. That's essentially FPTP. It can lead to situations where a candidate wins with less than a majority vote, sometimes even with less than their opponent. Take the UK Parliament, for instance. Over the last century, there have been 21 instances where a party won the most seats, but not the most votes. That's like winning a game of football because you scored more goals in the first half, even if the other team caught up and surpassed you in the second. And who can forget the 2000 US presidential election? The nail-biting race between George W. Bush and Al Gore exposed a major flaw in the system, the spoiler effect. Ralph Nader, a third-party candidate with similar views to Gore, siphoned away enough votes to hand Bush the victory. It's like ordering pizza with your friends, and because one friend wanted pineapple, you all end up with a Hawaiian pizza, even though most of you despise pineapple. Not cool, pineapple guy. Not cool. So, if FPTP is so flawed, what are the alternatives? Well, political scientists, bless their nerdy souls, have been busy cooking up other voting systems. Let's break down a few. First up, we have instant runoff voting, or IRV. Think of it as a game of musical chairs, but instead of chairs, we eliminate candidates. Voters rank candidates from their first to last choice. If a candidate doesn't get a majority, the candidate with the fewest votes is eliminated, and their voters' second choices get redistributed. This continues until someone snags a majority. It's like a more democratic version of Survivor, where the tribe has spoken, but they get to speak again until they pick a leader everyone can at least tolerate. Then there's the border count, where each ranking on a ballot translates to points. If there are 5 candidates, your top choice gets 5 points, your second choice gets 4, and so on. You add up all the points, and the candidate with the most points wins. It seems simple enough, but it can get a bit wonky depending on the number of candidates. Finally, we have the Condorcet method. Imagine a series of one-on-one rap battles between candidates. The candidate who wins against every other candidate in a head-to-head matchup is crowned the winner. Sounds logical, right? But here's the catch. Sometimes there's no clear winner. It's like playing rock, paper, scissors, but instead of a tie, everyone just argues about who should have won. The spoiler effect is like that friend who always tags along on your dates and ends up ruining your chances. It's a real buzzkill in elections, especially in systems like FPTP. Remember the 2000 US presidential election? The spoiler effect was in full effect. Ralph Nader, a candidate with similar views to Al Gore, attracted enough votes from Gore supporters to tip the scales in favor of George W. Bush. Think of it like this. You're at an ice cream parlor with 2 flavors, chocolate and vanilla. Most people slightly prefer chocolate, but a significant chunk loves vanilla. Suddenly, a new flavor is introduced, chocolate fudge brownie. Now, those who loved vanilla might be tempted by this new, more exciting chocolate option, splitting the chocolate vote and allowing vanilla to win. The spoiler effect creates a dilemma for voters. Do they vote for their favorite candidate, even if they have a little chance of winning, or do they hold their noses and vote for a less preferred candidate who has a better shot at defeating the candidate they dislike the most? It's a lose-lose situation that undermines the very essence of democratic choice. Now buckle up, because we're about to get a little bit mathy. In 1951, a brilliant economist named Kenneth Arrow dropped a truth bomb on the world of voting theory, Arrow's impossibility theorem. This theorem essentially says that no voting system is perfect. Arrow outlined a few seemingly reasonable criteria for a fair voting system, like giving everyone a vote, not letting one person be the dictator, and a few others. The theorem then proves that when there are 3 or more candidates, it's mathematically impossible to create a voting system that satisfies all these criteria at the same time. Imagine trying to solve a Rubik's Cube where every time you fix one side, you mess up another. That's kind of what Arrow's theorem is getting at. It's like saying you can have a delicious cake, but you can't have your cake and eat it too. Arrow's theorem, for which he later won a Nobel Prize, threw a wrench in the gears of political science. It implies that every voting system will have its own set of quirks and potential for unfair outcomes. Section 5. Navigating the theorem's implications. Striving for improvement. Arrow's impossibility theorem might seem like a buzzkill, like finding out unicorns aren't real. It tells us that we can't have a perfect voting system no matter how hard we try. But hold on, don't throw away your I voted stickers just yet. The theorem doesn't mean we should give up on finding better ways to vote. It simply highlights the inherent complexities of collective decision-making. Think of it like this. Just because there's no single best way to make a pizza doesn't mean we should all settle for pineapple-covered nightmares. There are other voting systems out there, like approval voting, where you can vote for as many candidates as you like, or score voting, where you rate each candidate on a scale. While these systems still have their limitations, they offer potential improvements over first past the post and highlight the need for ongoing exploration and innovation in democratic processes. Section 6. Beyond the ballot box, the power of civic engagement. While finding a perfect voting system might be a fool's errand, that doesn't mean we should throw our hands up in despair. The quest for a better democracy goes beyond simply choosing a voting system. Democracy isn't just about casting a ballot every few years, it's about active participation, informed debate, and holding our elected officials accountable. It's about engaging in our communities, organizing for change, and making our voices heard on the issues that matter most. Think of democracy as a contact sport, not a spectator sport. It requires us to be informed, engaged, and willing to challenge the status quo. It's about using our voices not just to vote, but to speak out against injustice, advocate for our beliefs, and hold those in power accountable. Section 7. The imperfect reality. Embracing the search for better. The pursuit of a perfect democracy is a bit like searching for the mythical pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. We may never find it, but the journey itself is where the real value lies. Acknowledging the imperfections of our systems shouldn't lead to cynicism or apathy. Instead, it should fuel our determination to keep striving for better, to keep questioning, keep innovating, and keep working towards a more just and equitable society. It's about embracing the messiness of democracy, the disagreements, the compromises, and the constant evolution of ideas. It's about recognizing that there will always be room for improvement and that the pursuit of a more perfect union is an ongoing process, not a destination. Section 8. A call to action, engaging in the democratic process. So here's the call to action, folks. Don't let the imperfections of our systems discourage you. Get involved. Learn about the different voting systems out there, engage in thoughtful discussions about their pros and cons, and advocate for the ones you believe in. Vote in every election, big or small. Volunteer for a cause you care about. Donate to organizations fighting for positive change. And hold your elected officials accountable for their actions. Remember, democracy is not a spectator sport. It requires active participation from each and every one of us. Engage in civil discourse with those who hold different viewpoints. Listen to understand, not to respond, and try to find common ground. Democracy thrives on dialogue and debate, even when it's uncomfortable. Section 9. The never-ending quest for a more perfect democracy. The quest for a more perfect democracy is a journey without a final destination. It's an ongoing process of experimentation, adaptation, and constant striving for a better tomorrow. So, let's embrace the challenge, let's keep questioning, keep pushing for progress, and keep believing in the power of collective action to create a more just and equitable world for ourselves and for generations to come, because the future of democracy depends on an engaged and informed citizenry willing to fight for it. And who knows, maybe, just maybe, we might even find that pot of gold at the end of the rainbow along the way.